solving linear equations and looking for the how do we get it. Equations must have an equal. When we are solving them, we don't know sometimes what to write an equation yet. So here's an example of a kind of a basic problem that we're going to look at, and then we're going to find the solution. It says you work for 4 hours Friday, 8 hours Saturday, and receive a $50 bonus from your boss for good work. In total, you're receiving $164. How much money did you make per hour? So, like some of you could kind of guess, and you could kind of look at some numbers and think about it, but we want to actually write an equation. So as you look at problem 1 in your notes, we are going to write an equation. We're trying to find out how much you made per hour. Okay? So what we are going to do is we are going to write, you worked the first day 4H, 4 hours, 4 times H. Plus, on Friday, you worked 8 hours. We don't know how much you're getting paid, so we're going to call it 8H. Gavin, you're writing this. Then your boss gave you a bonus of $50. And he told us that we received $164. So when we are looking at that, that is our original equation. So once I have that equation down, so you're going to fill it in and then I'll sign it. Right over there. So if I'm looking at this, we're going to write that same equation. 4H plus 8H plus 50 equals 164. We are now going to add these two together. They're on the same side of the equal sign. Those are our like terms. So yesterday, when we were working with the algebra tiles, we combined those. That would have been 4H plus 8 would give us 12H. So we worked a total of 12 hours plus $50 to give us 164. My next step is now I need to get this 12H by itself. So, Fisher, if I'm going to try and get 12H by itself, what do I need to do? Subtract 50, but we're actually, this is like those algebra tiles. We can't just do it on one side. And this is where some of you kind of like, well, last year I didn't have to do it on both sides. I know, we need to do it both sides of the equal sign. So we can't just subtract it from the 164. I agree, that is what we're doing to get 114. But we have to do it on both sides of our equal sign. This is called, if you're going to write this down, you're going to be asked to justify your steps. This one is called the subtraction property of equality. So please write these properties kind of behind. So when we subtract, as long as you subtract it on both sides of the equal sign, you still have a balanced equation. So it's like yesterday with those algebra tiles, okay? So our next step, if I am looking at this then, is going to be, Lisa, to do what as I'm looking at that? I want to find H. I can't just divide by 12 on the one side. Again, I have to divide both sides by 12. So that on this side, we get H. And now on your calculator, put in 114 divided by 12, and then we ended up with 9.5. Now, oh, that must be the answer. Well, we got to make sure we answer the question. And if we are answering the question for this one, it actually says, how much money did you make per hour? This is where we want to put in $9.50 per hour. Okay? So you can't just leave it as the H equals 9.5. You want to go a step further and put down $9.50 as we look at that per hour, right? Because that's how much money you make. That problem, I need you to put your head up, please. If we look at 5x, we are going to change these subtractions, especially this subtraction. We're going to change it to plus what? What can I change subtraction to? Adding the opposite. So if it was 8x, we're going to put plus negative 8x. So anytime you have subtraction, keep in mind, because some of you, oh, your integer operations is not good. Subtraction can always change to adding the opposite, okay? So keep that in mind. So could we also change this from a minus 16 to plus a negative? Yeah. Now that one might not be as important. We're going to rearrange these, right? So we are actually looking at adding the 5x and the negative 8x. if I add those two together, 5x plus negative 8, is it 13x, negative 13x, 3x, negative 3x? What am I looking at when I add those two together? 5x plus negative 8. Negative 3. So because the signs are opposite, right, and some of you might need to just put it in your calculator. 5 minus 8, or 5 plus negative 8. That is a negative 3x minus 16 equals 23. Okay, so next step. We got to get that negative 3x by itself.
You add 16.
We add 16 both sides. So this is like those tiles yesterday. We're adding 16 to both sides. Okay? We do that, and after we do that, Julia, we're going to end up with, if we're adding 23 and 16, 39. So I get negative 3x is equal to 39. So Gavin, what are we going to do next to solve? Okay, and what else? Divide negative 3x by? Not x. Do not. So I will see a bunch of you put the x down here. No x's. If you divide by negative 3x on this side, you're not solving. So if you put an x there, erase it. Do not put that. Because when you do this, this right now gives us 1x or just x. And I don't care if you leave it as x or 1x. But if you put an x down below, then you have just 1 here. You don't want that. When we do that division, James, what did you get when you take 39 divided by negative 3? James, over this way, sorry. 13. Negative 13, positive 13. Okay? Negative. Now, this is how we're going to do the check. Okay? So, I need you to write down on your paper the check. You're going to write the word check. Anyone remember from yesterday how to do it? Okay, Wyatt, are you ready? Or Carter, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put what? 5, the original problem.
5 times negative 13.
Yep.
Minus 16. Minus 8x equals 23.
But I'm not going to put x, I'm going to put 8 and
Negative
take those calculators out, right? Take out your calculators. Make sure you know how to put in a negative. I want you to do this right now on your calculator, so everyone should be punching this out on their calculator. 5 times my calculator, I have to put the negative after. 5 times negative 13. It is a minus 16. It is a minus 8 times negative 13.
Positive.
The negative is down there. Right below. Okay? I don't know if you have to put. Mine came out to be 23. Did yours?
Yeah.
So when you're doing your homework tonight, or you're doing that worksheet, like even some of you that were trying to do that worksheet from a couple days ago, and you can't get it to work out or find the answer, you should be able to check and make sure. Now, this is the answer to the question, right? This was just your check to make sure it worked. Okay? So let's go to this next one where we do some work with distributive property. When I'm looking with distributive property, as I am taking a look at this one, I am going to start, and it says, don't forget, each distributive, a negative number, remember to distribute this negative sign to each term in the parentheses. Here is my hint with this. We're going to change this to a plus negative 3. Do that right now. So that when I use the distributive property, I'm actually doing this. I'm taking 10n, and here's what someone in the last class told me when they did this. They said, oh, it's going to be plus negative 3n plus 1 equals negative 24. What did they miss?
Incorrect.
It is incorrect. This is going to be the negative 3n, but you can't put a 1 there. What do we have to do with the 1? We have to take it times negative 3. Okay, so that was the first error that that person made, and then I called on different people, and we still had mistakes. So if I am adding, these two are my like terms, agreed? The 10n and the negative 3n. When I add those together, 10 minus 3 gives us 7n. Do you agree 7n instead of 13, Asa? Okay. Minus negative 3 equals negative 24. Next step, Karina, what am I going to do? So I want to get this 7n. So if I subtract 3, okay? If I subtract 3, I now have 7n minus 6 equals negative 12. Did that help me at all?
No.
So I don't want to subtract 6. What do I want to do, Karina? I want to add, because I want this to be a 0. So I need to add 3, always doing the opposite of that. And again, I agree. Sometimes when some of you see that plus negative, you think you should minus a negative, but that is addition. And so that means I have to add over here. So, for an answer, Amy, what'd you get? Negative 21. And we're going to divide both sides by 7 to finish the problem. Okay? So when we divide by 7 and we're simplifying, we then say n equals negative 3. So if n is equal to negative 3, it says showing all these steps is required on your homework, on tests and quizzes. This is required so that your teacher can see if you are learning the process to meet the standard. So it is really easy for some of you to say, I just did it in my head or I did it in my calculator. I need you to write all this down, okay? That's what I'm going to be looking for. 3y. And my like terms are 6y and 3y, and I add those together. Jennifer, what am I going to end up with?
9y.
So I'm going to put 9y. Now, sometimes we said we might change the subtraction to plus a negative, but in this case, it might be better for some of you to just leave it as that, as it is, okay? So we got 9y minus 4 equals negative 22. My next step, Nick, I want to get that 9y by itself. What might I do? Add 4 to both sides. So we're going to be adding our 4 on both sides of the equal sign. Again, remember, we're trying to get 9y by itself, keeping that equal sign in your paper. So we have 9y is equal to, what am I ending up with, Evan? Negative 18. So when I take a look at this one, I now have this 9y equals negative 18. And in order to solve that, James in the middle here, what am I going to do? By what? Divide what? Okay. And what else? Yes. Now, some of you, I see this out in front, this divide. We don't want to do that. We want to use this line means division. So when you put that line there, we're going to use that line for meaning division. I have some of you like, I know, but I've never done it that way before, and I like using this. I know, but as our problems get more complicated, this is showing division. So we're going to say y equals at this point negative 2. We're going to do the check. Okay, Olivia, you're going to help us do the check. Okay, everyone write down the check.
Okay, so next, wait, 9 times.
So wait, what's the original problem?
6 times negative 2.
6 times negative 2.
Minus 4.
Minus 4.
Plus 3 times negative 2.
Please put that whole thing in your calculator right now. I want everyone to put in the 6 times negative 2 minus 4.
I don't know how to get negative 2.
Okay, there should be maybe a plus minus button on your calculator or a parenthesis with a minus. That gives you the negative. You may have to hit it before the number. My case, I do it after. Each calculator is different. Okay? I didn't put that in right? Did you get negative 22?
Yes.
Okay? So if I take 6 times negative 2, and then we minus 4, and we added 3 times negative 2. So we get negative 22. So it works and we check. We're gonna look at this one, we're gonna do the distributive property, and then we're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna show you which ones you're gonna work on your homework tonight. So, first off, we wanna rewrite this. This is 1K. If there is no number in front of the variable, put a number there. Plus, we're gonna take 5 times both of these. So as I am doing that, what am I going to be getting, Sadie? If I take 5 times each one. First the first one and then the next. So 15, 5 times 3, minus 5K equals 11. I am now going to go looking at this problem, and I'm going to change where this minus is here to plus a negative. Here's the most common mistake I'll have people do. They'll add 5K to both sides. Are these on opposite sides of the equal sign? They're all on the one side. It's just like my algebra tiles all on that one side. So I have 1K plus negative 5K. That is negative 4K. You are not adding 5K to 1K. These are on the same side of the equal sign. We're rearranging those. So if I am looking at this one, and I have this negative 4K, I am now, as I look at that, going to have plus 15 equals 11. My next step in solving this is going to be, I'm going to set it back here. Because if we are now subtracting 15 from both sides of our equal sign, so we get negative 4K equals negative 4. We're going to divide on both sides by negative 4, no variable with it, just the negative 4, and K in this case is 1. And again, I could do the check on my calculator, plugging in 1 plus 5. Use that parenthesis button on your calculator, 3 minus 1. And if you put that whole thing in, you should be getting 11. Now, because we're getting your test reflection back today, we're going to save some of these in your homework for doing for tomorrow. We're going to take a look at those 2 examples.